So next up we have a fireside chat, which will be fantastic, between Gabe Lewis from Mistplay and John Wright from Kwalee. So please welcome him to the stage.
You know, this sort of back, and I think, these sort of very basic sort of systems have now evolved into cost per engagement. There's also, loyalty systems and platforms like, yours, which obviously do a fantastic job. We are a client, full disclosure. So, I do rate them as a company. And, you're still focusing on all of the day-to-day stuff that you were, but there's just more things to do. And ultimately, the very sad thing is, even if you get like a very high IPM in this market, where you could get like a 40, 50 IPM, where, a couple of years ago, that would take you to the top of the charts, right? You'd be in the top 5 global, you would be making, tons of money. And now, very sadly for us, like I've got my team, a few of my team here, we look at the results on a weekly basis, and sometimes you're like, wow, this is extremely marketable. But actually, it doesn't matter anymore, because if the LTV doesn't back out, there's no way. So there's still an abundance of things to do, Gabe. But the traditional stuff, plus maybe getting some of the stuff that you did beforehand, and then focus on your players, focus on loyalty.
Absolutely. And so we started this with a bit of doom and gloom and just sort of retrospective of how tough things have been. So I'm going to put you a bit on the spot to, finish it on a positive note on some of the things that you think are really going to be exciting this year, and things that are really going to kick off as just things that'll be big opportunities.
Oh God, that's a tough question in this particular time.
Through that one.
You haven't even heard me speak about Google Sandbox yet, okay?
I'm sure there's another track on.
I'm not. There's going to be someone else talking about that. I'm not talking about that. If Google's here, I apologise. No, I mean, as always, guys, I think the industry is one that's ever evolving, and there is opportunity around every corner. I mean, I'm only talking from an internal perspective, from Kwalee's sake, but we are launching more games now than we were launching in 6 months ago. I think our team have doubled down on really understanding what is trying to sort of work in the market. And again, that could be from the types of creatives, it could be UGC, right? TikTok, a lot of these new sort of, platforms that are providing new users in new ways, which is, I definitely advise you to go down the UGC and TikTok route, because it's, I think it's part and parcel of what we need to do going forward. But again, there are glimmers of hope and success in this current market. In terms of pinpointing one, I'm kind of struggling a little bit, if I'm honest. But it's an early start to the year. I know Kwalee are growing, and whilst there is a number of companies that are obviously struggling, for every company that is struggling, there is someone that is finding success. So ultimately, that's the nature of the industry. And my advice is just to double down, have faith. Gaming is a passion, and just believe in the process, right? Execute strongly, and eventually something will click and it will go forward.
Yeah, it works for me. Awesome. I think that's about it for us, but we can turn it to some questions if there are any.
So do we have any questions from the audience? Well, I have a question. Oh, Peggy, you go first.
Thanks, Peggy.
Have you got...
I came in late, so my apologies if you did cover this, but what I'm fascinated about is... Oh, thank you. If I came in late, sorry. But what fascinates me is sort of the science of rewards, and thinking about how to bring more real life into the virtual world and sort of mix that up, because rewards have been so focused on virtual things, currency, lives, weapons, whatever. But, I'm interested in understanding, are you looking at that? Is that something that you could imagine bringing into the mix?
So, like, real-world rewards, i.e. like you do something in a game and you get something physical or like a gift or somewhat. I mean, there are some companies that specialize in this, right? And I think there is a history of casino games and VIP handling, right? Like Zynga is very famous for having a Zynga Poker VIPs team, which, as someone who worked with them for a number of years, they used to do the craziest things. They used to fly people to Vegas and give them helicopter rides, and because these people were spending thousands of dollars a month in online gambling, essentially, which was always very confusing for me, because spending $2 to $10K a month and not getting any ability to take the money out is wild, but there's a whole $1 billion industry on this, so I'm not...
Of social casino.
Exactly. Yeah. Someone should do a talk on that. That's good talk.
Next time.
Yeah, next time. But I do see a world where, you know, it does happen, Peggy. I think there is, you know, gift cards and this sort of stuff is done in apps currently. I think we've done a bit of testing, you know, with this, but something that I think obviously people should explore. And there's this whole like transmedia play as well, right? In terms of how people are engaging across, you know, movie, TV, games, and sort of in-world, out-world. And so, yeah, the lines of all of that stuff is getting smaller and smaller. So I definitely see it as well. There's a company in Israel as well that does physical sort of the grab. Where's from the Israeli guys here? I can't remember the name. But anyway, there's an Israeli company who do this claw game. Clawry is the game, but they do like physical stuff where you win like a Pikachu and they send it to you and it's like a fluffy toy.
Yeah, we used to have that game called Snatch. Do you remember?
Snatch?
That was bought by PlayStack eventually, and that was rewards as well.
Yeah.
That was physical rewards as well.
So
powered
yeah,
by
it's,
Interact, but-
so obviously there are a couple of cases of it actually happening, and I definitely think again giving someone a physical reward, again even something as simple as a gift card, is an amazing gesture. Ultimately, it's an economics play, right? You know, this has to equate to the amount of LTV, and if you get a $20 LTV user and send them a $10 Amazon gift card, it's good business.
Well, that's the layup for Mistplay, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we do. We help publishers leverage loyalty in game by doing exactly that. You know, helping users connect physical rewards to their virtual gameplay. And you know, John touched on the big ticket items that people used to get, but we also see it on the small scale with the gift cards, with small physical things that just sort of enhance your gaming experience by tying it into lifestyle. So absolutely, it seems to be something. I mean, it's been proven successful that we're happy to help publishers keep doing.
Yeah, and I think just to touch on that as well, some of the results obviously that we did see from Mistplay, we saw a 40x difference in LTV, so it's a big number. So physical rewards does equal, an actual sustaining loyal user, which again, going back to what Hybrid is trying and doing and the learning of the casual process, anything you can do to keep people coming back time and time again and staying for potentially up to a year, that has to be your strategy. You can't be doing prototyping every 5 minutes anymore. It's not sustainable. So you have to double down, have belief in the process, get to, if it takes 3 months, 6 months, to develop something, this is what you need to do.
Yeah, be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly.
Any other questions? Right, I'm burning to ask you this question, John, because I do know that one thing I really love about Kwalee as a company is that you look at new suppliers, you look at new ideas, you're always constantly on the lookout. Is there any trend that you're seeing coming through in terms of user acquisition and new things? I mean, what we look here is your relationship with Mistplay is fantastic because you've taken the leap and looked at them and worked with them and it's worked out for you. Is there anything else that you would give as a hint to the rest of the...
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe I haven't used this yet. Buzzword, AI, okay? It's actually getting something that is becoming ever in depth into all of our process, if that's from a UA sort of a campaign management perspective, if that's from a creative development perspective, if that's from a coding perspective. So, I'm not going to talk about AI in depth, but there are a number of really interesting companies that are developing stuff now in stealth. My advice is always to have a testing culture. I think it's important to give people a break. I also was a founding team member of a startup in creative technology, so if it wasn't for people like Kwalee, who were my first client that I signed, and very weirdly I work for now, I wouldn't have built a successful company and exited that company to Unity. So yeah, it's taking the chance on the little guy, having a testing culture is a very important part of your sort of mentality as a business leader or a studio lead, in my opinion anyway.
And I think that opinion is right. Thank you, John. Any other questions before we wrap? Okay, well, thank you very much, guys.